Laura Beauparlant was just 18 years old when she was severely injured in an accident caused by a drunk driver. In Chapter 4 of her story, she describes what she means when she says, "What am I dying for today?" and whether or not she could ever bring herself to forgive the drunk driver that caused so much of her pain.
So, it's been 27 years. Sometimes I miss that sentiment. Some days are not my best days. But I really believe in living a big, bold life. And every day I start with very intentionally writing down, what am I dying for today? Because every day, what am I trading this day for? And so I got really clear on what I desire out of my life. And I'm clear that every day I have at least one of those desires on my list of what I'm dying for that day. And like I said, some days are better than others. Some days I feel like I'm a rock star at it. And other days I'm like, well, that didn't quite turn out the way I expected. But I really believe in trying to find the positive because I've seen it in my own life. I took this tragic event in my life and I met my husband because of it. I moved abroad. I got to know all of my relatives. I learned a new language. All the things I've built, I'm now living abroad again. And I don't know if I would have had the courage to do all of those things. And that's also a tragedy too, that I think we often just go through life, just kind of going through it, not really living intentionally and thinking, what is the mark I want to make? What would I want people to say about me if I were to go tomorrow or today? If I were to go today, would I feel fulfilled, like I'd lived a great life doing what I was here meant to do? Or would I have those deep regrets? The only regret I would have if I were to die today is that I didn't get to live longer, to have a bigger impact, to see my kids grow up and meet my grandkids. But I wouldn't have anything that I would feel like I wished I had done that. That's how I want to live my life and inspire others to live that way.
You mentioned at the beginning that it was a drunk driver that basically hit you. How did you ever forgive it? I mean, I don't know if you could ever, or most people could ever forgive a drunk driver, that kind of horrible thing and happening. How did you reconcile in your mind that it was a drunk driver? Did you hate the person? You must have been angry. How did you come to whatever peace you can come to with that?
I love the question. And I absolutely 100% forgave him, but not for him, for me. Right? I didn't want to carry around that anger, that bitterness, that chip on my shoulder would have impacted everything and everybody I came in contact with in my life. And so I chose, after a lot of therapy and a lot of inner work and a lot of, things that I needed to do, I forgave him for me. I had to release myself from that. And I met him in court and I could see the remorse in his face. He was deeply remorseful. We couldn't communicate because of the criminal and the civil suit, but I could feel that. And you can say a lot with your face and your eyes. And we had a pretty deep conversation just with our faces. Mm-hmm. And at the time I was still really angry, but I wrote him a letter years later telling him how I was doing, that I was doing really well, all about me, and that I wanted him to forgive himself and that I had forgiven him. And he wrote me back and he was actually doing extremely well, and he had stopped drinking, 3 daughters, his job, wife. And I thought, wow, what a beautiful gift for his kids. They got a dad who's a recovering alcoholic, not an alcoholic. But the fact that his wife stood by him and supported him through that. And he had a job to go back to after being in jail. If any of those things had have gone differently, maybe he would have gone down a different path too. Just like I could have become a drug addicted, cripple if I chose to go down that path, which I could have. I had access to some pretty heavy duty painkillers that I could have very easily become addicted to. but I chose not to. So it's like, you know, I've always said to people, it's not what happens to you. Like, shit is going to happen in your life. It's what you do. It's how you respond to it, right? You can't always affect what is happening to you, but you can have an impact on how you respond and how you move forward.
ORTHOLINK connects the work of the Canadian Orthopedic Foundation to those we serve. To learn more about how your support is impacting lives, go to movepainfree.org. That's movepainfree.org.